Good morning. So I'm on the floor again. Some of you might recognize this. I'm actually in the middle of getting ready for an interview today, so I'm really nervous. I did my makeup and I'm waiting for my iron to heat up, so I figured I would stop in and just film a little vlog update. I need to do my hair, so just ignore it being kind of like unruly at the moment. And you're gonna hear Mochi in the background as usual. That's just what he does when I'm in a different room than him. But this is the only room in the house that I can have plants, so if I let him in, he'll just run under the bed and I won't be able to get him out, so that's why I'm not letting him in with me at the moment. But yeah, I have an interview today, and it's my first in-person interview since I got laid off 3 months ago, so I'm really nervous. I'm excited, but I'm nervous. Also, by the way, this is my Baja Blastoise shirt. I got it from Comic-Con or PAX East or something like that. It's just very silly. Anyway, I haven't gotten on camera at all yet for this vlog. I've been filming like B-roll and gaming clips and things like that here and there, but I'm just gonna treat this as the intro for the vlog. It's a little bit of an unconventional one, but honestly, I've just been in a little bit of a reading slump because of the readathon that ended recently. I was having so much fun with that and feeling so motivated to read, and it was just such a blast. And now that the readathon is over, I feel like I don't know what to do with myself. So I've just been in a little bit of a reading slump and haven't really picked up much. I picked up Monk and Robot, which is just a bind up of A Psalm for the Wild Built and A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. So it's two novellas that are bound up into one paperback. So I picked that up, and I'm almost done with A Psalm for the Wild Built, which is the first novella in that. It's just been a very like wholesome, relaxing, kind of introspective story so far, and it's kind of just the perfect time in my life for me to be reading it because of, you know, this kind of period of change that I'm in right now with, you know, being laid off recently and kind of like finding a new normal and a new routine for myself and struggling with transition. And so I think that this story is kind of coming to me at the perfect time in my life for it, and it feels very just relatable to me, and so I'm happy that I'm reading it. So far for the vlog, I've also been doing a lot of cozy gaming as well. A game just came out called Tiny Bookshop, and I've been playing a ton of that. It's been so relaxing and so cozy. The visuals are really gorgeous, and it's just a very addicting game cycle. It's just very simple. I've really been enjoying that. And then I also bought and set up a game called, I think it's called Spirit City Lo-Fi Sessions or something like that, and it's basically just a lo-fi productivity game where you've got your little house and your avatar and you got a pet. You set up and decorate your space as you like it, and your character can do different activities in the room like reading or crafting or knitting or working or whatever. It's got built-in timers for like the Pomodoro method, so if you want to do like reading sprints, you can use the game, or you can have a built-in checklist that tracks your chores or your tasks or whatever. I bought that game because Ash from Books to Ashes uses that for her streams when she's doing reading sprints, and I really liked it. I thought it would be a nice stream background, but I also like that the timers and task lists are all integrated into the game, so I don't need to have a million different things open. Yeah, so I got that and set that up, and I'm gonna try it on my next reading sprints, so we'll see how that goes. This vlog is just gonna be a kind of cozy, doing healing things, you know? So it's gonna be a little bit different than the last few vlogs. I'm just kind of winging it, to be honest. Like I said, I've been in a little bit of a slump. I'm just trying to break my slump with, you know, cozy reads and things like that. I also picked up another book last night. I'm not gonna say the title because I need to check the pronunciation of it. I don't want to butcher it, but I'll put the photo on one of these sides. I've had this for a really long time. I just haven't gotten around to it. I have the Fairy Loot edition of it, and it's very pretty. I'll show you in the B-roll. So far, it seems like it's just gonna be like an enemies to lovers, reluctant allies kind of a story, and it's about a fallen trickster god and a shapeshifter who takes the form of a fox. If it's enemies to lovers, then, you know, obviously they're going to eventually not hate each other, but they do at the moment. The setting is in South Korea, and it has a lot to do with Korean folklore and mythical creatures and gods and things like that, so it's very interesting to see some of the Korean pantheon and the folkloric creatures that they have in that pantheon, so it's very interesting so far. And I like that in the author's note, she mentions that it's kind of an homage and a love letter to K-dramas because she loves K-dramas, and it definitely feels like that so far. There's like people who fangirl over the gods as if they're like BTS or something, and tabloids that like report on all their things and paparazzi and things like that. So it feels like it takes a lot of inspiration from Korean pop culture, and I think that's kind of interesting. So anyway, I'm enjoying that so far. I didn't get that far last night, only like 10%. But yeah, that's what we're up to for this vlog. So like I said, we're just kind of winging it. I hope that you stick around and that you enjoy, and I hope that you enjoy the kind of wholesome, healing, cozy vibes for this one. I think maybe a lot of people need that right now, so we'll see what we get up to, and I will see you in the next clip. Bye. So it's been a few days since I last updated you. I was just reading some Monk and Robot. I'm in my reading corner, and I figured I would just give a little chatty, casual vlog update. I know that the lighting isn't ideal, but I'll figure it out when I'm editing. I've been kind of sticking with the whole cozy healing activities. I was playing a demo for a kind of cozy game tonight called Poof Cleaning Services, I think. And if you guys have ever played Unpacking, it's very similar to that. But I just played the demo for that. It was really cute. I played some Tiny Bookshop, and then I realized I hadn't picked up any of this in a few days. I just kind of wanted to do a little progress update on A Psalm for the Wild build before I finish it. So I have this much left, this one here. And then A Prayer for the Crown Shy starts after that. So I'm almost done. It's a very simple and slow, tender story. There's not really a whole lot of plot necessarily to it. It's just a very much kind of slow, meandering journey. I don't know, sometimes I really just find that I just want to listen to two characters interact with each other and doing really mundane things, discussing their interests and their passions and talking about philosophical topics and whatever. It just feels very intimate in like a platonic intimacy kind of a way. It's just kind of a nice glimpse into the inner workings of what makes a friendship or the framework of a relationship. The core of it is really just being comfortable with the person that you're talking to, and that kind of just quiet bond that exists, you know, when you have somebody in your life that doesn't drain you and doesn't feel exhausting to talk to, or you just feel like you can be vulnerable with them. Even if it's someone you just met, you just instantly have a spark with, you know? And I think that's just very much the case with Dex and Mosscap in this, which is the T-Monk and then the robot. I love watching them interact. I'm just kind of loving this like cultural exchange that's happening between the two of them, and literally the scene I was just reading was them just cooking together and Mosscap being so excited about learning how to like cook onions and the purpose of butter, and I don't know, sometimes just a kind of quiet, comfortable dynamic like this is really nice to read. And I've been annotating it so you can kind of see my tabs. I'm definitely gonna finish A Psalm for the Wild built tonight, and then I might start on A Prayer for the Crown Shy. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to my book, and then I'll chat with you at some point in the future, talk about my thoughts on A Psalm for the Wild built. I will see you in the next update. Bye.
They're working. Like, it feels like it felt like
Well, she was full on eating my yarn. Hello from the floor again. This is gonna be the floor vlog, I guess. But this time I set up my tripod and I have like the mirror there so I can actually use the back camera, so it shouldn't be garbage quality this time. And I have decent lighting right now because it's a cloudy but bright Sunday, and it's been a very nice, relaxing Sunday. I've been playing some Tiny Bookshop, I've been playing some classic World of Warcraft, and I hopped into Books to Ashes reading sprints as well today, so I was doing some like job application and boring adult shit, and then there was one sprint left, so I figured I would pick up Monk and Robot again and start A Prayer for the Crown Shy, so I started that. Actually, I don't think I've updated you since I finished A Psalm for the Wild build, so let's talk about that first. So I finished A Psalm for the Wild build a couple days ago, and it was really lovely. It's a very simple story. There's not like an insane plot or, you know, really high octane energy or anything like that. It's just not that kind of story, and I think that in the mood that I was in and the kind of space that I've been in mentally, this was exactly what I needed. I just feel like it transported me to a more peaceful place and kind of an easier, simpler world, you know? Like I said, I've been in kind of a weird mental funk, and I think that the messaging around self-growth and finding purpose, listening to your intuition when it comes to what you need and what maybe isn't serving you in your life at the moment. I think that that messaging and that kind of theme of the first novella really just resonated with me a lot, because I think I'm in a similar kind of state of flux right now with everything job related, you know, but this was just such a lovely down-to-earth story, and I really love Dex and Mosscap. I love their dynamic with each other. I love the way that they slowly grew a bond through mutual trust. I'm really excited to see what they get up to in the next novella, which, like I said, I already started, so I kind of know what they've been up to. So let's shift to A Prayer for the Crown Shy, which is the second novella in the Monk and Robot bind-up. I really like this one so far, but it does have a slightly different kind of theme, I would say, than the first novella did. The first novella, I would say, is much more focused on Dex and their personal development and the inner conflict that they had going on when it came to their profession and their passion, their purpose, and things like that. A Prayer for the Crown Shy feels much more focused on Mosscap as the protagonist, I would say. It focuses more on Mosscap kind of exploring what defines personhood and their own consciousness. It talks a lot about personhood and the elements that make up who you are and how you're so much more than just the sum of your parts, but also kind of on the flip side of that, you're also very much defined by those parts that make you you. And so it kind of evaluates if you start to change those parts that make you you, are you you anymore? If that makes any sense. Whereas the first novella was more about change and purpose and discovering what fuels you, this one still does focus on that as well. We really get to see a lot more of Mosscap and its kind of internal workings, literally and also, you know, mentally. Watching them work through what defines their consciousness and if they start to change parts about themselves, are they the same entity that they were before? I'm also just loving all of the extra Mosscap content in general. It is such a wonderful character, and it feels weird calling it, but it does say multiple times that Mosscap feels like an object and not a person. I think humans just really love to personify objects, and that's something that we do all the time. And so it's really easy to personify Mosscap as if it were a person because it's just such a lovable, warm, inviting character, you know? I just love Mosscap, and I love Dex. I love getting to see their bond deepen in this novel. I keep calling it a novel. It's a novella. I love seeing their bond deepen in this novella, and I really wish there were more of these. I'm kind of bummed that there's only the 2 novellas because I could read a whole series. Well, it's technically a series. It's a series of 2. I could read a much longer series about these 2 characters. I'm also loving all the extra world building that we're getting in this second installment because the first one gave us kind of breadcrumbs, but the second installment definitely goes a lot more into the world building, I would say. It definitely goes a lot more into how society is structured on Panga, which is the moon that this takes place on, by the way. How society and humankind in general has changed since some of the really critical events in history. How the economy kind of works in this very socially community-driven barter almost system. We also get to see a lot more of the ecological focus that the society has and how they integrate nature into their settlements and how they use biodegradable materials when they construct everything. They utilize scrap and junk and other kind of remnants of the past civilizations. They utilize all of that into their settlements so that they're more ecologically friendly. I really just love seeing the respect for nature and the respect for the planet that this society has. And I know it's very idyllic. You know, we can't necessarily have something like that right now with the nature of humans, you know, kind of being the way that it is. But it's really nice to escape to a little bit more of an idyllic world. Like I said, I wish there were more of these. I really don't want to be done with these characters yet, so I'm kind of bummed. I will go much more in depth on this for my monthly wrap up after, you know, I finish the book, but so far, obviously, I'm really loving Monk and Robot. It's wonderful. Anyway, I think that's it for my reading updates. I might pick up The God and the Gumiho. I might pick it up later, you know, potentially depending on how I'm feeling tonight, but I know I had a relatively positive opinion of it so far when I gave you my last update, but since then, I kind of am just feeling a little bit less interested in it, so I'm still going to give it more time, obviously, before I make any decision about it, but I just find that I'm not really in the mood for a enemies to lovers romantasy kind of situation right now. I really want more of the Korean folklore, and I hope that the focus is on that and not really on the romance. But so if I pick that up again and make some progress in it, or I pick it up and choose to DNF it, I will let you know. Bear with me on this one, but I had the thought of maybe giving you guys like a little plant tour. I have my plants all right over here behind you guys, and I would love to show them to you. But I thought it would be fun to kind of just take you through one by one and tell you what the plant species is and a little about it or whatever. So if you're interested in that, I think that's the next segment. So yeah, I'm gonna film that. I'm gonna go make a tea, and then I'm gonna go back to World of Warcraft because I want to play some more. Stick around for the plant tour if you're interested in that. Otherwise, I will see you in the next update. Alright, so let's start with this one right here. This is a Pearls and Jade Pothos that I had just gotten and I showed you guys earlier. She is very happy, doing very well, has these nice long tendrils. I really like the Pearls and Jade Pothos just because I really love the variegation and the spots on it. I'm a fan of variegated plants in general, and the pot is not my favorite thing ever, but it came in this, so I will transplant it eventually. I had to take you off the tripod for this one because it's kind of in the back, but this is a arrowhead plant and she's not the happiest right now. Hasn't put out a ton of leaves or anything like that, but I got this one from a plant trade at work. I really liked this particular arrowhead when I got it because it was very dark in color and it had a lot of red leaves. Unfortunately, a lot of the reddish ones have fallen off by now. This is the only plant that I've given a name to, and the reason why is because I was listening to the Hungerstone audiobook at work the day that I had gotten this plant, and so I named her Carmilla. This one here is something that I impulse purchased from Stop and Shop. I literally saw it outside and I was like, ooh, it's pretty. Anyway, this is, I think, some kind of periwinkle. I looked on my plant identification app and that's what it said. I don't really know if that's the truth or not, so let me know if you're a plant person, but allegedly this is a periwinkle something or other. I just like that it's got these nice long tendril situations going on, and the little variegated edges of the leaves is very fun. I got this little test tube rack from Michael's, I believe, and I decided to use it for any propagation that I have. So right now the only prop I have going is this little satin pothos. I really just love how the satin pothos has these beautiful glittery, like gorgeous little thinner patches that are so shiny. And as far as the propagation goes, it seems to be pretty happy. It's put out this nice long weird alien root situation and then another one on the side. So I'd say that it's starting to get there. Back here I've got a couple of golden pothos that are growing from the same pot. So there's this strand over here and then this strand over here. Oh, that's the leaf, sorry, over here. But it's very happy and it's putting out new leaves all the time. I'm gonna put some sort of hooks or something on the wall to let it climb up further, because right now I just have this star that I made from wisteria branches, which I love how they get all twisty like that. It's so satisfying. I really need to give it more of a trellis to climb because it's gonna start flopping over. Also in the back I have these monstera that are currently I'm trying to propagate them in water because the plant was just getting very leggy. There was just a lot of empty stalk with no leaves anymore. This one actually is just putting out a new leaf at the bottom there, so it is doing okay. This one in the back, it's kind of hard to tell, but it is allegedly a golden pothos as well, according to my app. I don't buy that for a minute. I think it's another Pearls and Jade or something similar, but I don't know why it won't identify that it is anything other than golden pothos, but that's what it says it is. I don't believe that it is. Sorry if you hear a rattling or anything. I am doing laundry and so the dryer sometimes sounds like a rocket ship. This is a something philodendron. I don't remember what the full name was that it said, but this is a philodendron of some kind. It's got these really pretty kind of velvety, shiny leaves, and a lot of the new leaves turn kind of reddish when they start. Like this one here is a little bit more reddish in tone. I probably need to give it a trellis because this is starting to look a little precarious. And lastly over here we have an English ivy. This one is also really happy and healthy. It's been putting out a ton of little leaves and it's kind of growing wonky and sideways because I keep rotating it, so it doesn't really it's kind of a little sparse on this side. As you can see, this was also an impulse purchase, I believe, from Stop and Shop, but I just thought it was really pretty and reminds me of the leaves of Lothlorien from Lord of the Rings, so I grabbed it. I never know how to start these fucking clips, and sorry about the bad lighting again. I'm very much a fan of dim ambient lighting, so I have a bunch of different colored lights all around the room, and it creates a very fun atmosphere when you're up here, but not the best for filming, so sorry about that. But I was reading a little bit of The God in the Gumiho, and it feels so early to have a complaint about it because I'm literally only this far into the book. I was originally really enjoying the writing in this, and I'm not really enjoying the writing anymore because a lot of the folklore elements that I was so excited to get are being delivered in a very clunky way, a very exposition-y way, and I just wanted to kind of complain about it. And I'm going to read you a couple quotes. And again, this is really early, so it's not really a spoiler. But a couple of the characters are talking, and they're like in a line somewhere at the store. They're getting some kind of like a buckwheat snack for their boss that like they had asked for or something like that. Both of them are Gumiho, so they are both shape-shifting foxes, and they're talking about their boss, who is a dokebi, which is a like goblin type of folkloric creature. The first character says, "Dokebi are born from blood-stained, discarded household items. They're bound to come out a little bit fucked up. I mean, that's what happens when you were a spoon once." Then the second character says, "Not as fucked up as us. I think that our ability to turn into a nine-tailed fox definitely exceeds a liking for buckwheat." And then the first character replies, "And the fact that we were a fox for 1,000 years before getting a human form." And then the second character replies back, says, "That too. And our tendency to eat men's livers." A pet peeve that I have is when two characters are talking to each other and they both are from the same like world and everything. They both know about the folklore creatures in the world, and they talk to each other as if they don't know, or the other character wouldn't know exactly what they're talking about. Like when they're delivering exposition about what a dokebi is, it's like I understand they're giving it to us as the reader, but there's ways to do that don't make it seem like you're literally reading like a dictionary definition to another character who already knows what a dokebi is. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's just like a pet peeve that I have. It just feels like if you're going to deliver exposition, you have to integrate it into dialogue and into your story in like a way that feels natural and doesn't feel like you're having two characters repeating definitions back to each other, or like, you know, you're having your characters like nudge and be like, "And we had to live for 1,000 years before we got our human forms." And it's like, I just feel like there's a better way to do it. And then there's something on the next page too that was like bothering me. So the two characters like got the errand done, and they're like about to split up for the night, and they're going their separate ways. The first character is like, "I can take care of myself, really, see?" And like she like takes out her claws or whatever and said, "I can use my fox bead too if I have to. I'll blast whoever I need to with energy." I'll blast whoever I need to with energy? I don't know, that's such a weird way to phrase that. And then the second character, who again, these are both Gumiho, they both should know this, says, "Use the bead sparingly, you don't want to deplete it." The other character already should know to be careful with her bead because of like the energy or whatever. There's a way to say, hey, you can deplete your fox bead if you use it too much without literally phrasing it like that. Like to two characters who already know about the fox bead and that you can deplete it. I don't know. It's just weird. I don't know. I just flipped through like the next few pages while I was still like rolling the camera, and I just don't know. I know I'm only 40 pages into this, but the writing is just not... Like there was a combat scene that I just flipped through, and it's just written in the most like cliche female character in a romantasy being like, "Stop following me," with the period in between. Oh my god, I hate when they do that. I always hate DNFing a book this early because it's so early and it still has the chance to turn around, but at the same time, I can usually tell within the first 50 pages if I'm going to really like something or I'm not going to like it, because sometimes certain writing styles or narrative choices or things like that are really easy to pinpoint right away within the first 50 pages, and if I know I don't like that writing, I just want to put myself through a whole book of that writing if I don't click with it in the first 50 pages usually, which it does depend on the book. There are some books you need to give them their time. If this is already reading to me as really clunky but also like cringy and cliche, I don't think I'm gonna have a good time with the rest of it. I guess part of this cozy healing vlog is also DNFing when you're not clicking with something, because DNFing is self-care. Life is too short to read a book that you're not vibing with. I feel like most of the time when I DNF, I do DNF within the first like 15% of the book, because you already know a lot by that point if it's going to work for you or not. Usually I can tell pretty quick if a book's going to be for me or not, and this one I just don't think is for me. A certain kind of reader will really love this. I just don't think it's for me. So anyway, we are DNFing. It's a shame because this book is so pretty, and I will see you the next time I have a reading update. It'll be probably a positive one because it'll be Monk and Robot, and I don't think I could have anything negative about Monk and Robot. Thank you for coming to my vent sesh. I will see you in the next one.
grammarians or constables, sternly watching all their silly infinitives.
This is a weird setup potentially, but I am getting ready at the moment and wanted to just give a vlog update. I just did my hair, or no, I just did my makeup, but now I'm gonna do my hair, and then after lunch we're gonna go to Michael's because I want to get a few things for my crocheting because it's been going really well. Since the last time I spoke with you, I have made so much progress on my learning. I finished my test swatch that I did, and I started a whole project, my whole first project, which I'm really excited about. As far as the crochet updates, I'm about 2.5 rows into my scarf, and I'm very happy with my progress, and I'm really proud of myself. So it's difficult trying to pick something up that you haven't done before, especially something like this where it requires a lot of like motor skill. In the beginning, I was just in pure survival mode, like, oh my god, what is a stitch? You know, how do I hold this yarn, etc. Now it's gotten a lot easier. It's a lot more muscle memory now. As far as reading updates go, I think the last time I talked to you was after I DNF'd The God in the Gumiho, and then I think I was partway into A Prayer for the Crown Shy. So I have since finished A Prayer for the Crown Shy. I also started and finished The River Has Roots by Amal Matar, and that was a very, very short novella, so that one was really, really quick to get through. So as far as A Prayer for the Crown Shy, I finished that one and really liked it. I did not like it as much as A Psalm for the Wild Built. I think I liked A Psalm for the Wild Built much more, but I still ended up giving A Prayer for the Crown Shy a fairly high rating. I just don't think it resonated as much for me as A Psalm for the Wild Built did. I think the pacing wasn't as strong in this one. I finished doing my hair, so I figured I would take us back full circle and we can end this vlog on the floor. So to finish my kind of reading updates, Prayer for the Crown Shy, like I said, I liked it. I think that the themes weren't as powerful as the first one, and I think that the pacing was a little off, but I still really loved it. I really loved getting to see more world building in this installment. Everything that I had said that I wanted more of in book one in terms of the world building and elaboration on the setting, I was happy to get so much more explanation on the social structure of the different communities and the way that the economy runs, and more of how the ecological, environmental focus on society. I think that the amount of world building that we got in this one was really well done, and I had a really nice time learning so much more about this world, and I'm really bummed that this is just a duology. I would have loved to see more. Regardless, I did really enjoy the duology, and I'm happy that I read it, and I think that the first one definitely resonated more emotionally with me, but I still really loved the second one, and I loved the way that it ended. So that wraps up my thoughts on Monk and Robot. And as far as The River Has Roots, this one I didn't even introduce because I didn't necessarily plan on picking it up in this vlog, but to introduce it and give my thoughts on it. You're introduced to the world, at least to this little part of the world that we're seeing, with this river called the River Liss. This river is enchanted due to these like magical sediments, I guess, that are produced by the willow trees whose roots are in the river. The way that the world is like set up and described is, again, like really kind of mind-boggling. They don't really explain a whole lot about this magic system, which, by the way, is called grammar. So instead of magic enchanting something or doing something, whatever, the grammar conjugates or translates, and that's what is happening with the magic magic system, I guess. And so like grammar is magic. I think it makes sense in the way that the story is told, but it also got a bit lost on me. I was a little bit confused about all of this, and it didn't strike that balance for me between really whimsical, kind of outlandish world building and the intrigue of the unknown, where you're like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I'm having a good time. For me, this one just didn't deliver that, like, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I'm having a good time feeling. I was more just like, I don't know what's going on, and I think I'm having an okay time. That was kind of how I felt. But the folktale aspect kind of comes in, where you have these two sisters who sing to these willows in the enchanted river, and that's what kind of stimulates and helps the willows produce grammar. So you have these two sisters, they have a very, very close bond, they love each other very much, and one of the sisters is courting a fae. So their romance with the fae called Rin is very interesting, because Rin is not always in a human shape. Rin will sometimes take the form of an owl or a storm or a breeze, and it's really interesting to see the romance between a human and a fae, in the sense that the fae isn't always in a human body, and how that doesn't change their love at all. Their love just feels like it transcends the body, and I think that that's one of the most beautiful aspects of this for me, was the love story between Esther and Rin. I thought it was very, very lovely. There is a central conflict in the folktale. I don't want to reveal anything about it, just because I don't know how I would reveal anything without it spoiling anything, but the story does eventually shift. It takes a very unexpected turn, and I think that the direction that it went, I really did enjoy, but I did think that it resolved really quickly. I wish that this had been longer. I think I would have probably enjoyed it more if it was longer, and it took its time with the pacing a little bit better. I just felt slightly underwhelmed by this one, just because I think it wasn't long enough. I think it needed more time to kind of elaborate on all of these things that I mentioned. I think that it just needed a little more time. Anyway, not to dwell on that too much, I do have one more order of business before I conclude this vlog, and that is some book mail. So a fellow booktuber on here, Jordan's Bookshelf, was doing a giveaway to celebrate 300 followers, and so I entered her giveaway, and I ended up winning it, which was really exciting. So she was like, tell me what book you want and I'll send it to you. And I was like, any book? That's kind of crazy, and it feels weird being like, hey, send me this book. So I sent her my wish list on bookshop.org, and I told her, just surprise me, pick whatever you want. And so she sent me one, and it just came in, and I'm going to open it with you. And it is This Princess Kills Monsters by Rye Herman. Look at this cover, how beautiful and vibrant it is. I saw the art online and I knew it was gorgeous, but wow, it is so beautiful. And she sent a note with it. It says, thank you for being a book bestie and a part of my book community. Thank you, Jordan. I'm gonna keep the note inside of this book so I remember. I'm excited because this is the first book mail that I've gotten from like somebody else sending something to me, so I'm really excited about it and I'm gonna treasure it. I'm really, really hoping that this is gonna be a lot of fun. One of the blurbs on the back says, The Princess Bride meets Shrek in this delightfully feminist fairy tale. If it's anything like The Princess Bride or Shrek based on the blurb on the back, I think I'm gonna have a great time with this. And again, thank you, Jordan, for sending this to me, and congrats on your 300 follower milestone. That's so huge. So thank you for hosting this giveaway and sending me this lovely book. And on that note, that's everything I had for this vlog, so I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. I know this was kind of like all over the place and just kind of a little bit of everything, with the cozy gaming, the cozy reading, some crochet, a new hobby. Thank you for joining me on this, and I hope that you got something fun out of it. And if you enjoyed this, please like, comment, subscribe. It means a lot that you're here, and I will see you in the next one.